Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. I am so excited to bring this vlog to you because we just have so much fun stuff happening in this video. I just cannot contain my excitement, and I am so excited for you guys to see me read these books, and I'm excited for you guys to read these books because I expect you guys to read these books in October because every single one of these books is good. Every single one of them, which is actually insane. I don't know if I've done a single vlog where everything that I read I enjoyed. So I am so excited to bring this to you guys. And we're also going to be talking about a giveaway. So first, let's talk about the books that we're going to be reading in this vlog, and then we're going to talk giveaway. These are the books that we read in this vlog, including House of Idol. I did not have a physical copy, so I could not hold it up, but we also did read that in this vlog. But it's so many good things. It's so many good things. It's so many fun things. I definitely had a lot of different reactions to these books, and we are on a mission to find a 5-star book. So every single one of these books is a potential 5-star due to what the subject material is or previous books by this author. So let's talk about the books that we're going to be reading in here. First up is How Bad Things Can Get. This is the newest Darcy Coates book. This is a culty book, and I've really enjoyed Darcy Coates' books except for the one on the back, Dead of Winter. Was not a fan of that one, but I've enjoyed a lot of Darcy Coates books, and I'm looking for that 5-star Darcy Coates book, and I think this could potentially be it because it is all about cults. So this could definitely be a 5-star book. Then we have Let Me In Your Window. This is a graphic novel that is horror short stories, and I read their horror graphic novel last year and loved it. I gave it a 5-star. It was amazing. I expect this to be a 5-star. Next up, we have Widow's Point, and we're going to be talking about this in the giveaway, but I did read this, and this actually wasn't on my radar at first, but this is a found footage book. You guys know I've been searching for a 5-star found footage book because episode 13 was not that book, but this could be it. This is in a haunted lighthouse. It has YouTubers and writers and just the vibes of this story. So this could definitely be a 5-star. Then there's House of Idol, which is by Delilah S. Dawson, and Delilah S. Dawson has been close to a 5-star for quite a long time now, and I'm like, this has got to be it. This has got to be it. This is also a cult story, and it is a novella. Next up is the new release by Isabel Cañas, The Possession of Alba Diaz, and I think this could be a 5-star, but you guys know that I've had issues with Isabel Cañas in the past. I love The Hacienda. I gave that like a 4.5, close to a 5-star, and then The Vampires of El Norte was a DNF. So this does sound closer to what The Hacienda is. This is a possession story and like historical horror. So the part that scares me is the historical section of it, but I love the historical horror that she did in The Hacienda. So I think this could be a 5-star as long as we really focus on the horror more than the historical aspect of it. And then the final book of this vlog is What Stalks the Deep, my most anticipated book of the whole year, the new T. Kingfisher that is part of the Sorn Soldier series. I hope this series goes on for forever. It's just one of those series. So I'm so excited to read the 3rd installment in this series, and it takes place in a mine. And that sounds horrifying. So I'm so excited to read this one. So those are the books that we're going to be reading in this vlog. But before we begin, let's talk giveaways. So as you guys may not have noticed, I just hit 4K subscribers, which is so awesome. To kind of celebrate that and to celebrate spooky season in general, I was able to get a hold of 2 copies of Richard Chizmar's book, Widow's Point 1, 2, and one of them is hand signed. The other one is going to have a signed book plate. The story behind these books is that one of my friends is part of Richard Chizmar's street team, and she had been telling me about this book for a really long time, about found footage, etc. She knows I've been looking for a found footage book. So she was really excited about me reading this book. So she ended up sending me a copy of the book, and I ended up reading it, and I was like, you know what? This is really good. So I wonder if I want to do a giveaway with it. So I contacted Richard Chizmar. I wanted everyone to know that my review of his book in this video is legitimate. It is not like performative or anything like that. I contacted him and asked if he had a copy of the book that I could give away for this vlog. And he said, yeah, and sent me 2 copies. And then with Amy's book plates, I have one hand-signed copy and one that is going to have a book plate and a bookmark. So I'm very excited about that. But there's going to be 5 winners. There's going to be 5 winners. The person who is pulled first is going to get the hand-signed copy of the book sent to them. The person that is pulled second is going to get same copy of the book, but instead of hand-signed, it is going to have a book plate that is put in there, still with their signatures and with a little bookmark. And then we're gonna have 3 extra winners who you don't get a book, but you will get a signed book plate with the bookmark if you want to get a copy of the book. So in total, we have 5 winners, and I'm really excited about that. So in order to enter this little giveaway, definitely make sure you subscribe to this channel, but also be subscribed to my Instagram. So I was trying to figure out the easiest way to do this because I guess I could do like a Google form, I could do any of that type of stuff, but I would be contacting you on Instagram for information to send the book to you guys or the book plates. So the important thing is subscribe here and then follow the link down below to my Instagram, like my Instagram, and I'm gonna have a post up. I'm gonna put a post up tomorrow so that you guys can know, and you're going to comment on that post specifically. And I'm gonna have instructions underneath it. You guys, I feel like all of you, including me, have done Instagram giveaways. I really didn't want to use Instagram, but you know, that's how it is. And that is the easiest way to do this. I'm gonna follow my Instagram account, follow Richard Chizmar's Instagram account, and then leave a comment. You don't have to tag anybody, you're gonna just leave any comment. It can be an emoji, it can be anything, and that will enter you in. That way I know who it is and I can contact that comment directly. Do not answer from any other account that emails you or messages you from them. So make sure it is from me, because I know there can be like scammers and stuff like that. So make sure it is directly from my account. So anyway, that is how the giveaway is going to work. I'll probably post that tomorrow morning around like 10 o'clock, right before this video goes out, because I want that up first so you guys can go directly over there. So hopefully you guys are interested in this. So anyway, with that being said, we are actually going to get into this reading vlog, and we are going to be starting with the Darcy Coates. I think this is a good place to start. This is a thriller. It's going to be easy to jump into. It is longer than I kind of expected. It is close to 400. It's 370 pages about. So this is following our main character who is going to this secluded island for this, like, think Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast hosted a party and invited a bunch of influencers and stuff to take part in this like game event kind of thing. So they're gonna go play games and just have a relaxing influencer filled weekend. And obviously things start going very badly. We're gonna start with how bad things can get, and we're gonna go from there. We are officially past the 50% mark. I think I'm at like 57%. I am listening to it primarily on audio because it's actually really good. Like, it's really good. It's really intense. I think I would like it equally, reading versus the audio, because you guys know at this point, I generally like stuff physically better, but I am having a really good time with the audiobook. It's nerve-wracking. This book is incredibly nerve-wracking. So How Bad Things Can Get by Darcy Coates. So this book is like, I don't know if I could tell you what this book was like actually about, because there's so many things happening, but generally right now we're following our main character Ruth, who used to be in a cult when she was a child, and she keeps getting these like flashbacks to the cult situation, and it was a very bad situation where everybody died and she was the only survivor, but her existence has been hidden, her identity hidden, so nobody knows who she is. And now she is going to this influencer retreat with her boyfriend and his two friends, and she is kind of like the interloper in this group, which definitely sucks. Like, I feel like we've all been there, where you date somebody and you also get kind of introduced into their friend group and you are like the odd person out. The boyfriend won tickets to this like big influencer thing with this, it's basically, think Mr. Beast. Think Mr. Beast level. It is this big retreat where he's giving away money, they're playing games, they're getting a lot of like, just, I mean, it's an influencer thing. I mean, you know, there's just a bunch of things happening. So we have that as like the main story, and there are now suddenly people going missing, but there's strange things happening on the island at the same time, and you're kind of getting little flash sideways of those things happening, but you're not being told 100% what is actually happening, which is really cool. I like that. I do not like to know exactly what is happening until towards the end of the book, because to me that keeps it scary. Then we basically have a side story with another character, Logan, and Logan is I'm trying to think of like an equivalent. I would say kind of like those big podcasters who, oh no, what is it? Serial. Do you know Serial podcast where she did the Adnan Syed case? It's kind of like that, but he's a YouTuber, and he'll spend like a couple months on a video, and it's like super well researched, it's very well done, and that's kind of his like thing. And so he is working on his next project, and he decided to come here to see maybe if there's like a little thing that he can pop up while he's working on his next thing. But now he's got a whiff of some weird things happening on this island. So Eaton is a little bit suspicious. Eaton is the guy who is hosting this whole island thing, but he also recognized somebody else on the island, and that was really, really interesting. I don't want to ruin that surprise of who he recognized, because it's interesting and it hasn't really been brought up since. So I'm curious how all of that is going to connect. So there is friend drama, there is relationship drama, there is island drama. I mean, everything. There's drama and mystery and intrigue and very creepy things happening. So This is going fantastically. I'm having a fantastic time with this, which is great because I really did not love Dead of Winter, last Darcy Coates book that I read, so I really needed a really good Darcy Coates book, and I think I have finally found one. I have a crazy amount of updates for you guys. I have actually read so much since the last time that we talked. So obviously, first off, I have finished How Bad Things Can Get, and I think I'm gonna give this a 3.75. So the problem with this one is it did become more about like a survival horror type of story towards the end, where we were rapidly switching perspectives, which was something that happened throughout the book that I wasn't a big fan of either, but it was rapidly changing at the end, where we were following characters who would then be killed, and that is not my favorite type of horror book. So I am definitely not a survival horror girly. I like it kind of in like movies, but it's more like teen slashers, not outside running in the woods, hiding in ditches or hiding in crevices and trying to survive a killer. That is not who I am as a reader. I just don't really enjoy that very much. So unfortunately, because of the end of this one, it did get lowered significantly. I also did not like one of the emotional decisions that the character made. That also brought my rating down a little bit because at the very, very end, she was doing something that I was kind of frustrated by based on how this character treated her. And I feel like she kind of just forgave everything about them at the very end and had this emotional moment. So I didn't love that as well. But the twists, the surprises, the drama in this, so good. It was so good. So overall, I think this is one of the better Darcy Coates that I have read. It was just like a personal issue with the ending. So I would put this one up there with From Below and some of her other like haunted house books that I really enjoy. So I am really excited that I ended up getting this one and that I read it. It was such a good time, and because I didn't think I was going to. I thought I was kind of done with Darcy Coates after I read Dead of Winter because I really did not like that one. But luckily, I did end up really liking this one. And of course, now I'm getting a phone call. Luckily, that was everything that I had to say about the Darcy Coates, because I definitely would have lost my train of thought because I've been on the phone for a little bit. Anyway, 3.75. I had a good time with it. I enjoyed listening to it. I read it very, very quickly, so I would definitely recommend that one, especially if you like survival horror. It was very creepy, very strange sometimes, a very interesting cult story. I really liked how it ended with the cult, so I enjoyed that very much. Next up, I actually read a graphic novel short story collection. I had no idea this was out, so this was kind of a little treat for me. You'll see it in the intro because I am filming the intro after some of this video, but I had no idea this was out because I read their first horror graphic novel collection last year, and it was phenomenal. So this is by Adam Ellis. This was a BuzzFeed, I think I talked about it last year too. This was a BuzzFeed contributor back in the day, very into these cartoon graphics. And this is kind of like what their style looks like. I really love this style of art. And Adam Ellis is like fantastic at storytelling. Such a vibrant storyteller that I absolutely adore these books. So I am gonna give this one a 4-star because this collection, I don't think it was as cohesive as the first grouping. So the first one had it just felt so cohesive. It was scary and creepy. It had some really unique stuff in there, really interesting things. I remember that one of the pages was like, oh, and if you're reading this, you're now cursed or something like that. It was something really, really fun and interesting that was on a page. And I was like, oh, this is different. This is different. I really like this and it's creeping me out. So I remember thinking that. And then I also liked how a lot of the stories were told. I accidentally kicked the tripod, my bad. I really liked how a lot of the stories were told. I loved a lot of these. I loved all of them. I loved all of them. There was none that I didn't like. My problem was in this one, there were a few, I'm not a big fan of not cliffhanger, well, it's kind of cliffhanger endings. Things that don't 100% make sense in my head, and there were quite a few in here that were that way. I feel like there was a lot more ambiguity going on in these stories compared to the last collection, and so the last collection I gave a 5-star. This one I'm still giving a 4. It's still fantastic. I'm still super excited that I own this. I will be rereading it. I plan to reread the one from last year as well. I wanted a couple more explained endings or things that made more sense to me. Because like I said, there was a couple where I got to the end and I was like, what does that mean? What happened? I'm confused what the point of this one was. And so that's why it gets a 4-star, but I really liked it. If you want to read a short story collection in graphic novel format, I 100% recommend this one and the one from last year. So all you have to do is look up Adam Ellis and you'll see the other collection. I think it's Bad Dreams at Night. It was one of my favorite books last year. So Love this. I had a great time with it. I'm very excited that I found out it existed. I had no idea it existed. And then for our very final update, for now, because I should finish this book probably within the hour, I assume, or within the next couple hours, I am currently reading House of Idol by Delilah S. Dawson. This came out on September 9th, but I did have an e-arc that I kind of forgot about because I was really, really excited about this one, but I've been trying to read my e-arcs closer to publish date, which I think has gotten me in a little bit of trouble with my NetGalley books. I got really behind when I got incredibly depressed. I wasn't reading anything. So I am still working on books back from, I think I got through May, but I think I'm up to like June. I'm working on June and July's books right now, and I'm trying to keep up, and it's not going super great. That's the problem with when I got depression. I had so many books that I was so excited about on my NetGalley, and then it just completely fell apart because I wasn't reading. But now that I'm back to reading, that doesn't mean the depression is gone. It comes and goes, but I am reading more. I am learning to enjoy reading again. But I forgot that this one was there and that I was like holding on to it. So this is a novella by Delilah S. Dawson. Is the same author as Bloom, which I gave like a 4.5. And then Guillotine, which I gave a 4, which was just silly fun. And then I DNF'd This Will Only Hurt for a Moment last year. I did not like that one at all. Unfortunately, this one is following the same storyline, kind of the similar format and characters as It Will Only Hurt for a Moment, because It Will Only Hurt for a Moment was very culty. You're in this like vibey location where everyone is kind of like being an artist and stuff like that, and this is like the same thing. This actually dives deeper into the cult side, so I am enjoying this one more than It Will Only Hurt for a Moment. I do think the writing is better in this one than it was in the other one, because I don't know what happened with that book. It felt like it was written by a different author, because Bloom is beautifully written. Guillotine is like a great written satire. It's not supposed to be an amazingly written book, but it is a satire, obviously. It Will Only Hurt for a Moment felt like it was written by someone who's never written a book before. Like, it was, and had no edits. It was very strange. I don't know what happened with that one. This is very much better written. I just don't like the content as much. It is very weird. So this is following our main character, who is a starving artist. She is failing at life in every turn and doesn't know what to do, or at least she feels she is failing at life. So she kind of gets scouted by this rock star person. Someone in his entourage spots her, realizes she's talented, and brings her into the fold of this like community of starving artists who need a upper hand in the world to try and like get things going, because unless you are one of like the super popular rock stars, artists, etc., you're not making a lot of money. And so she wants to be this big pop star, but she has struggled in life and she just doesn't have the time to do it. And so she's been scouted, she gets brought to this place, and she's able to make music, but obviously some very weird things are happening. So I'm struggling a little bit with the pacing. It's very slow, even for a novella. I was expecting a little bit of a faster pace. Like, I'm not looking for anything like intense and really deep, and I'm not getting that, but it's also really slow at the same time, which is interesting. And so there's some aspects of it that I really like, but like, we just had like a hallucination scene, and it was weird, and it got hypersexualized in that scene, which was also incredibly weird. I was not expecting it, and I don't like overly sexualized things in my horror books. That has never been anything that I've really enjoyed. So that's a quote that just came up, and I really didn't like it, and it just like, it was such an ick. And like, that whole thing, that line came after a giant weird sex scene that was very, it was kind of gross. It was very gross, actually. And it's been like continually kind of talked about as we've continued past that point. But I am 70% into this. I probably only have like 60 pages left, because I think the book's only like 220 pages. So I am gonna like finish it. There is a possibility that I still will really like this, depending on the end, because I feel like that's how I am with horror books a lot, is if it sticks the landing, I can really love it. So like The Library at Hellbore, I liked a lot about that book, but it was giving 3-star vibes a lot of the book, but then the ending and the way that it was written and the stuff that happened, it ended up being a 5-star. So do I think this is gonna be a 5-star? No, but could this still be a 4-star? Yes, depending on how it ends. Anyway, that was my roundabout way of saying that I am enjoying and not enjoying this one at the same time, which is very confusing, but I feel like happens a lot when I read horror books. Ugh, this room is a mess now. I just finished filming my September unboxing, which was so exciting. I'm very excited about it. There's a lot of really, really interesting books, but I think I'm still most excited about August. August has some really cool books in there, but now this room is an absolute mess and I've got to clean it up, which I am less excited about. But I am here to talk to you about House of Idol because I completely forgot that I finished it days ago and just completely forgot to update you guys because I have such mixed feelings about this book. It's so weird. Okay, the book is way over sexualized. That is my main gripe with this book. So I really thought it was gonna be like a 1 or a 2. I'm giving it a 3. I'm actually gonna end up with a 3-star, which is very exciting and does mean that I do want actually a copy of it to go with my other Delilah S. Dawson novellas. But no one else is as surprised as I am that I ended up loving the ending. Like, oh my gosh, I loved how this ended. It's again another switch up. Delilah S. Dawson is so good at ending books in a way that you don't think they're gonna end. And when the end happened, I was like, it was so good. It was such a fun ending to what the rest of the book was. I had such an issue with the pacing for most of the book. It was just so slow. There was so much meandering around, and I get you wanted to like get to know the band and you wanted to get to know our main character and the setting, but for a novella, it's got to be a little quicker pace. Like, I'm not here for this amazing exploration of the setting and what's happening. I just want to get to the point in a novella. So this one did, I struggled a lot of it with the pacing of this one. But, and again, very sexualized towards the middle into the ending, but that ending was so good. I mean, that ending brought it up a whole star, an entire star, based on how they did that, because it like made these moments really, really tense, and then it was like, just kidding, and then it would make it really tense, it's like, just kidding, and I was like, what is happening? Like, what is actually gonna happen? And then it gets to the end, and I was like, oh, that was a great setup. That was such a good setup for what is happening in this book. So I ended up being very happy with what happened at the end of that. But because of all my other issues with it, it still can only be a 3-star. So we are moving on to, okay, we have 3 options. A Land So Wide, Widow's Point, which is coming today. I think I'm gonna read Widow's Point, to be honest, and then The Possession of Alba Diaz. I don't know if I will get to all those. I kind of have like a timeline that I am trying to hit with my video releases this month. So I think this one needs to come out no, it's actually next Wednesday. So I have about a week. I have about a week to read as many as these 3 books left that I have. So I'm on a time crunch. I am on a time crunch. So I'm excited about it. There's a lot of good books that I could pick. Even if I only get 1 more done, I still have a lot that I read in this video. I'm gonna go putter around and wait for Widow's Point to show up because I'm really excited about it. All right, I'm 44% into Widow's Point, and I was really nervous at first. I was really, really nervous at first because it was really slow. It was giving a lot of backstory and just kind of meandering through this lighthouse. But yeah, when it went there, it went there. When it went there. And I think this is really interesting because I was recommended this book by my friend Amy, and she had read the novella. So this originally was a novella, which is just like the first 70 pages, I think is what she said. And that makes sense because there's kind of like 2 different stories in this, but they do interconnect with some characters and like backstory, and the lighthouse is the same in both stories. So this one starts off with a writer going to this lighthouse in 2017, and that's the novella section, where this writer is taking like audio notes of his process and what he's seeing in the lighthouse, and like all this like past information. So like all these things that have happened over the years in the lighthouse. So it's a really interesting setup. I definitely can see why they expanded on it, because the novella, like, it was really good on its own, but I can see wanting that expansion because, like, the descent into madness that happens in the first 70 pages, amazing. 100% can see why it was a novella. However, a lot of that 70 pages was just kind of meandering around. So I like this expansion where I already feel like I understand what is going on in the lighthouse, and I'm already, like, dreading what is happening or what is going to happen to these new people, because
In the second story, which is what most of the book is, it is a group of YouTubers and a paranormal investigator and a professor, and they all kind of have like their own reasoning for everything. The YouTubers, obviously, they're paranormal investigators, and then one of the guys that they were interviewing is also a paranormal investigator. And then they also invited a professor who like knows a lot about hauntings and has written a bunch of stuff about hauntings and is from the area. So that's really interesting. So yeah, it's really creepy. It's really creepy. This is not a book so far for fans of horror who specifically like gory extreme horror. Like you're not going to enjoy this. This is a slow burn, driving you crazy, stuff moving in your peripheral vision. That's the kind of story it is, and like setting up things that maybe won't happen, because one of the things that keeps popping up in both stories are these mannequin limbs, and I'm not enjoying that. I'm not enjoying that they have now been brought up in the old story and now have been brought up in the new story. I'm not loving that. That's terrifying me. So I think this is definitely going to be a situation of the right type of people picking this book up, but this is what I wanted episode 13 from Craig DeLuey to be. Episode 13 was not great. It's not great. The audiobook was amazing. The only reason I finished that book was the audiobook was so good. So I wish that this book, Widow's Point, because the audio is fine, it is a little bit confusing to follow along. You have to really pay attention because like there's constant footage. So you have to like kind of keep track of who's talking, which can be a little bit confusing. So I would recommend this one physically reading. However, the audio is decent. I wish it had the same production that episode 13 had. If this audiobook had the production of episode 13, I would be, locking myself in the bathroom and like hiding because I'd be so scared. Because like, I can just like imagine hearing the noises. I would love this book to have a graphic audio. It would be so good. I think this book would also translate really, really well into a TV series, like an anthology type of situation. I think that would be really fun, especially like the backstory. We can do all the backstories and then go up to 2025, which is what the newest story is. I can just imagine that being so good. So I am enjoying it. I don't know how we're going to continue with this book. Like I said, I think I'm 44% in, and the second group is just getting to the lighthouse and starting to kind of hear a couple of things. Nothing like super intensive, but we know it's coming. We know it's coming. So I'm really curious what the back half of the book is going to do and how much further it's going to take the haunting that we got from the mini novella at the beginning of the book.
It is late. I've just showered. I'm ready to relax and watch some hockey and potentially read more of the other book that I've picked up. But first we got to talk about the book that I finished. I have officially finished Widow's Point. I really like this. We're going to start off by saying that. I really like this. I'm going to give it a 4-star. It was very enjoyable. It's probably the best found footage book I've ever read, because they're really hard to write. I hated episode 13. I hated episode 13 because of the ending. The ending was fumbled majorly. On the other hand, the ending is what made this book. But I say a 4-star with the caveat that I do think there is a way to read this book that will enhance the experience, because it is it's very differently written than probably anything that I've ever read, because there is a separate novella included in this book. And I do think that is one of the reasons why it didn't get a 5-star, because of my reading experience of the book as a whole. So how I would read this book is, number one, I would physically read it. The audiobook is good, but it is incredibly hard to keep track of, because in the second half of the book, everybody has their own camera, like on them or around them. They have other handheld cameras, and then they also have cameras of the interior of the lighthouse. And so it will switch between interior to handheld cams to specific people's cameras. And it's really hard to keep track of if you aren't like really focused in, because you gotta know who is talking, you gotta know which camera it is, you gotta know what room we're in, stuff like that. So the audiobook I would not recommend, solely because it is hard to follow. Not due to anything the narrator did, it's just a hard to follow book in this format because of what it is. So it makes sense how it's done. Like, I like how it's done. It just doesn't lend well to an audiobook format if it's not going to be done like a graphic audio kind of thing. Second of all, I would actually read this in 2 different sittings. I would go ahead and read the novella, which is the part set in 2017. I would read that like a week in advance. I would sit with it, remember the characters, kind of read some other things in the meantime, and then a week later, after you read that, I would then read the rest of the book, because the second half of the book definitely feels like a sequel to this novella. So I think it would have been better as 2 separate entities, but to me it makes sense because it was originally a novella that was self-published, and then it got picked up and for the whole story. So it makes sense why it was done. However, that's how I would read it, and I think if you read it that way, it could be a 5-star. I think, honestly, it could be a 5-star because the stories are so similar, like how they happen, that it does feel like you're reading 2 stories back to back that are like very similar. So I think that is like the biggest thing, is read the novella in advance and then wait a little bit and then read the full book, and then it's like, oh yeah. So that's how I would have read it. In hindsight, I think it could have been a 5-star. Like, they really could have been a 5-star. So I very much still enjoyed this. The ending was crazy. Like, this book ramped up. I definitely would recommend this to horror fans who like, again, ghost stuff, ghost hunting, more slow burn horror. Yeah, so kind of social media stuff. I guess that goes with the ghost hunting. I would not recommend this to extreme horror fans. If you like extreme horror, this is not going to give you what you want. I also would not recommend this to people who like really, really fast-paced horrors. Like, if you just read thrillers and horrors that are super fast-paced, you're not going to enjoy this either. So that's kind of my like line, is it's definitely a slower book and you kind of have to like work to get to the end, and then it's like, oh, okay. Like, that, again, that ending was crazy, and it got me at one point. It got me, and then it got me again. So that's always impressive. So anyway, this is a 4-star. I had a really, really good time reading it. I actually could see myself reading it again. I wish this was a TV series. So there is a movie based on a novella. Don't watch it. Don't watch it. It was not good. It does not stick to like what this book is or what the novella is. It's not good. It's not good. So I would love someone to buy this and make a TV series out of it. Oh, that would be so good. I would love a TV series off this. I think it would translate super, super well. So, and I think it would be really scary because this book legitimately did scare me at points. So that being said, I have a little tiny update for the next book that we have picked up, and it is The Possession of Alba Diaz. I am about 60 something pages in, 65 pages into this book. Very much enjoying this. I'm so happy. Because my problem was I was really nervous. This is a 5-star prediction because I gave The Hacienda like a 4.5 to a 5-star. It was like almost a 5-star. It was almost a 5-star. Then Vampires del Norte DNF'd it. It was our book club pick one year. Really didn't like that one. It didn't feel anything like The Hacienda. The writing was not good. It was a mess. It was an absolute mess. So I picked up this one and I'm like, okay, this seems more like The Hacienda. This seems more like we're going back to what was really good. So this is a 5-star prediction because it definitely has the potential. And yeah, I'm loving it. It definitely feels more like The Hacienda. The writing, the atmosphere, oh, it's so good. So this is following our main character, Alba, and she is engaged to this guy, and there's like this kind of plague situation. There's some sort of illness that's like rampaging through cities and stuff. So they end up having to go to this mine, kind of like away from everybody else so that they don't get sick, and they're in this like house together, and there's a demonic possession that ends up happening with our main character, Alba. And there's a forbidden romance aspect with her fiance's cousin. The forbidden romance in The Hacienda, yeah, that was really good. That was really good. So I'm really excited to see if that's going to be the similar situation. So that's all I'm going to say about this right now. I really am only 60 pages in, so hopefully I'll get more into that tonight, and then I can let you know when I'm farther in what I'm feeling. So I am super excited because I actually have 2 updates for you guys. One is that I finished The Possession of Alba Diaz, so I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But first, what came in the mail today are the books for the giveaway, and I'm so surprised because I didn't know how many books I was getting. I kind of assumed it'd probably be 1, but Richard Chismar was super nice and actually sent me 2 books to give away. So I'm so excited about that. I think that is so cool. So 2 people will be winning books. 1 is hand signed and 1 will already have an input book plate. And then 3 other people, so we'll have a total of 5 winners, which is really cool. The other 3 winners are gonna get book plates and a little bookmark that goes with it. So I think that's so cool. I'm so excited that this ended up working out for my 4,000 subscriber thing. Like, it's so cool because I was gonna do this anyway. And then I hit 4,000 subscribers and I was like, this is even cooler. This is even cooler. So, like I said in the beginning, make sure you are following my Instagram and make sure you are subscribed here. So I'm just so excited and the books look so good. They're so nice. Now, moving on to the update for the book that I just finished. I just finished The Possession of Alba Diaz and I'm gonna settle on a 3.75 for this one. I do think it is a mix between the Hacienda and the Vampires of El Norte. I still loved the Hacienda more than this, but I think it's because I really like haunted house stories, so that kind of does tip that in its favor. I also like knowing one location like really, really well, and I definitely think there was a lack of like we talked about the setting a lot, like the mines, but we didn't necessarily talk about the house that much or the surrounding area. So it was a little bit hard to actually imagine. Well, in the Hacienda, it's like, oh my gosh, like I can imagine this house because the house is basically one of the characters in there. So I kind of wished I had gotten like a better idea of what things looked like in this one. This one also, why it was a mix between Vampires of El Norte and the Hacienda very much focused on the horror aspect of things, the romantic relationship, the tension there, and then the very, very creepy haunting. This focused a lot on the historical aspect, which is very similar to Vampires of El Norte. Vampires of El Norte, very historical, very, very, very historical, was wrapped in the time period. This very similarly feels very historical fiction. While the Hacienda, it is historical fiction horror, but I would actually put horror before the historical fiction. This, I would put historical horror fiction, if that makes sense. So for me, I did lose interest somewhat towards the middle because it just kept talking about the mining business and the alchemical purposes and the politics of the time period. And I was just like, I just don't really care about that much of that section. The possession stuff really didn't kick off for probably over halfway into the book. Like, you got hints of it, but it really wasn't about that at the beginning of the book. I also actually wanted a little bit more from the romance, not to the level of Vampires of El Norte, because that romance was not written very well at all. But I liked the level that the Hacienda was. So I like how it ended with the romance, but I wish that the romance had more build to it in the middle of the book. I also get why this was more than one perspective, but to be honest, I don't really think I wanted Elias's point of view. Like, I don't think I really wanted it because the points of view that I loved were Alba's. When Alba was talking and in her point of view, I was like, yes. When is it Elias or Elias? I don't remember what it is. During his perspective, I would find myself kind of dozing off, just kind of bored, because again, it was more about the politics of the time and what was going on and like his job. And so I just like, I didn't care as much about that. So I think I would have preferred this whole book if it was just in Alba's perspective, but I don't know if that's like entirely possible because of the way that this was done, because it is a demonic possession story. You need someone outside of the person who is possessed if you want like a completed full story. So it was good seeing the odd things that other people were seeing, but at the same time, I just don't know if it was necessary. So I think I would have liked it better if it was one perspective and a little bit less with the historical aspect of this book. So that's why it ends up getting a 3.75. The ending was bonkers. The ending was crazy and I loved it. I loved the ending. I thought the ending was so good because I was thinking it was like a 3.5, wasn't sure, but then that ending hit and I was like, yeah, that was bloodthirsty ending. I really liked how that ended. 3.75, I still really enjoyed it. I'm really glad that I ended up liking this and it's not a Vampires of El Norte situation. So I think this actually would have been a pretty good book club pick, but I was too scared to pick this after what happened with the Vampires of El Norte. So luckily we are back to enjoying one. Hopefully their next one kind of does a bit of a better mix between the couple things that we talked about. And I hope she does another haunting story. I really want another haunting story. 3.75, and I am so excited to talk about the next book that we're reading, because originally I was going to try and fit in A Land So Wide, but it is later in the day on Friday. This video's got to go up on Sunday, and I haven't started reading my next book yet. So I was like, oof, there's no way I'm going to fit A Land So Wide in there without just rushing through it. Erin A. Craig is one of those authors that I really want to be able to tell if they're a new 5-star favorite, because I love Small Favors. I gave it like a 4.5, and then I gave House of Stone and Sorrow a 5-star, and then I have her 3 other books, A Land So Wide, 13th Child, and House of Roots and Ruin. So I would like to read those 3, so they might be their own video. You know what, in November, I'm probably gonna do like finding all new favorite authors or whatever. And so Erin A. Craig would definitely be one, because I consider her a favorite author, but I've only read 2 books. So I feel like I need at least 1 to 2 more 5-star, 4.5-star books from her. So I think I might read those 3 in that video. Plus maybe I'll pick 1 more author. So I was kind of thinking, I was like, okay, maybe I'll just end it with The Possession of Alba Diaz, but I really wanted to try and get a 5-star in this video, and we haven't gotten a 5-star. And that's kind of the point, is reading all 5-star predictions. And so I am very happy to report that my most anticipated book of the entire year arrived today. Thanks to my friend Alyssa, because she pre-ordered this book and then remembered she wasn't interested in this book series. So I was like, just send it to me. Just send it to me. Just send it to me. I'll just get it from you instead of buying a new copy from the bookstore. And so she sent me What Stalks the Deep. I love the series. It is funny though, because this is a risky decision, because I gave What Moves the Dead 4 stars, and I gave the second one, What Feasts at Night, 3.5 stars. So I know it sounds crazy. I know it sounds crazy, but it's like a 5-star series for me though. Like, I love these books. I like what they are, but the books haven't been 5 stars yet. I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's how I feel about it. That's how I feel about it. I am gonna read this as our last book for this video. I'm so excited. I feel like this epitomizes what this video is supposed to be, because I have been waiting a whole year, probably longer, for this book. So I am so excited about this. We're gonna get into What Stalks the Deep. This is the 3rd book in the Sworn Soldier series, and this one takes place in a mine. So we're gonna have 2 mine books. Maybe I should have just done a mining video, apparently. But I believe this one takes place in a mine, and it's, again, the same character from the first 2 books. And it says, join Alex Easton as they venture down into the dark depths of an abandoned mine and face what stalks the deep in this eerie new chapter of the New York Times bestselling Sworn Soldier series. And I'm happy to report that this book is a little bit longer than the last one, because my biggest problem with the last book was it was way too short. Like, the story was so good, but the execution was lacking because it was so short for what the book was trying to do. So I'm very excited. I'm very, very, very excited. I would love one of these as like a full book. I think it'd be fun to do like the final book in the series as like a full-length novel. I hope this just goes on forever. I don't know, but it says the next chapter of the Sworn Soldier series, not like the final book. So I'm gonna assume there's gonna be more coming, and I am so happy about it. Oh, let's go read What Stalks the Deep, and let's hope that it ends up being a 5-star. Oh man, I just filmed that intro, and that was the worst, most annoying thing I've ever filmed. I was stopping and starting. I was stuttering over things. That was terrible. I don't know what happened. I don't know if it's because it's late at night, because it is actually pretty late at night. I did not get finished the final book until like literally 10 minutes ago before filming that intro. So man, I'm gonna have not a fun time editing that. But I am here to tell you that I have read and I have finished What Stalks the Deep, and I am going to give this a 5-star. It is my favorite in the series. It's my favorite in the series. I love how the characters are interacting. I love what the mystery was. That was crazy. I feel like there is a little bit that I'm not understanding with the mystery a little bit, or what happened. Like a little bit of confused about something. However, I liked everything about this. I think that T. Kingfisher has hit their stride with what this book is, because the first book, oh, and this one was only 20 pages longer than What Feasts at Night. So I don't understand why What Feasts at Night felt so short. I feel like almost was too much trying to be done in What Feasts at Night. I'm going to reread it. My plan is to reread all 3 of these before the next one comes out. But What Moves the Dead, the writing was a bit stilted and very proper, because it was trying to be House of Usher. So I was trying to have this like old feeling in the writing. And so that's what kind of removed a little bit of the enjoyment. But the plot line was probably the best of all 3 books. Then the second one loosened the writing up a bit, and the plot was really good, but it was too short for what it did. So the plot was a little hit or miss because it needed more time to develop. This one was the perfect combination of both of those. It was perfectly long enough. It wasn't overly complicated, so we were focused on one specific thing that was happening in one location. We didn't have a ton of extra characters that we were talking about. It was mainly characters that we had already met before. And it was a very, not a simple mystery, but it followed like a line, and the writing was very much more similar to the last book as well. So this was everything that I wanted to be. It was a perfect story about a mine. What happened in this was more what I wanted to happen in The Possession of Albadias, where we were actually in the mine more and things were happening in the mine and strange things were happening. That's kind of, I wanted a little bit more of that in Possession of Albadias. So this gave me mine horror. This gave me mine horror, and I never want to step foot in a mine ever. Just never is never something that I wanted to do, especially don't want to do that after these 2 books either. But this was great. This was fantastic. I love, yeah, this cover is so good based on what this book is. Like, it makes sense now. I get it. And it was creepy. It was creepy, but I love what was really happening. It was so different than what I was expecting and what happened in the other 2 books. So I love the direction that this took, and I don't think it could have been done really any better, to be honest. So we did find a 5-star. Of course, it ends up being the Sword and Soldier one that we didn't expect to read in this video, so of course that's the way that it is. But that being said, we read some amazing books in this video, so let's talk about them very quickly before we wrap this up. First up, we read How Bad Things Can Get by Darcy Coates. This is a 3.75. Most of this book was probably 4 to 4.5 stars, but because of the horror at the end of this book, I lowered it a little bit just because I wasn't a fan of the ending of this one. But everything else I loved about this. Next, we read Let Me In Your Window, and this is the short story graphic novel horror collection, and I will read every single one of these collections that comes out. It's just fun. I would highly recommend this series. I think it is fantastic, and I feel like this speaks to a lot of different people. There is something in here for everybody, so I would recommend this to generally everybody. Oh yeah, I gave Let Me In Your Window 4 stars, I think. Yeah, 4 stars. Next was House of Idol, and I ended up giving that 3 stars. It was our other cult book compared to How Bad Things Can Get. I love how we read 2 cult books. We read short story collection. We read 2 books about mines. Then Widow's Point was its own thing. I guess it had 2 different short stories in it, or kind of 2 novellas kind of in one, so it's kind of like a short story collection. Anyway, House of Idol was a very, very interesting short story that I thought I was not going to like. Thought it was gonna be a 1 to 2 stars, but it pulled that ending out of nowhere so good, so I ended up giving it a 3, and I very much want to get a physical copy of that. Then we read A Widow's Point, our giveaway book, and yeah, 4 star. This was so much fun. This was just one of those books that you just want to sit there and you're just reading it and you're like, you guys have never seen a horror movie before. Like, you really haven't seen one. It was so fun to go, oh no, don't do that. Don't do the thing you are doing. Please do not. And the ending was phenomenal. And then of course, our final book that we just talked about is What Stalks the Deep, our 5-star of the video, and I am so excited about that. And I was really not excited to come on here and say, I didn't find any 5 stars, so I'm really glad that we made a split-second decision to sub this in over A Land So Wide, which is funny because I think A Land So Wide probably also might be a 5-star, but this seemed like a safer option. Yeah, I definitely would not have finished A Land So Wide before tomorrow because it is Saturday night at like 8 o'clock. Anyway, finish this one up, 5-star. This was such a good video. This was so, oh my god. This is probably one of my favorite vlogs that I've done. I didn't love the time crunch that I put myself on, but that was kind of my own fault. But I loved everything else that happened in this. I'm so excited that everything went so well and that I liked every single book in here. And I'm so excited about the giveaway. So that being said, remember giveaway. Make sure to go like the Instagram, leave a comment on the Instagram, and just follow the directions on that Instagram post. Now, let's see. I guess my favorite is this book. My favorite is What Stalks the Deep. So what can we do with What Stalks the Deep? There's obviously not a mine emoji. So what else happened in this book? Oh no. Leave a, oh, is there like a snail or a clam or some type of mollusk? Is that gonna be emoji? I don't know if that's gonna be an emoji. If that's not, if there isn't like a snail or some type of mollusk emoji, just leave anything that's red. Any type of red emoji will work because red is a very important color in this book. So if you have nothing else to say, but you want to leave a comment, let me know that you're here. Leave something red or some type of mollusk as the emoji. It's such weird. I love coming up with these emojis because they're so strange. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Definitely let me know down below if you read any of these books, if you enjoyed any of them. If you want to pick up any of these books, definitely like the video if you enjoyed it, and make sure you subscribe so you miss any future content. Like I said, I have lots of stuff coming out in October. I'm very, very excited about it. So I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.